A young man did not deserve to die that way. You shot him in the back of the head.
And that's all you will ever be, is a child.
Sat 3 feet away from somebody who was dying, and I didn't save her.
The jury returned a not guilty verdict for a man accused of killing Sebastian Diaz. The man and his cousin, who has yet to go on trial, were charged with the crime that occurred in September 2020. Diaz's family expressed distress and sadness over the verdict, but Duarte's attorneys maintained that the jury followed the law. The defense argued that the incident was a drug deal gone wrong and claimed their client was merely a bystander. They contended that Diaz was at a Northside apartment complex to sell drugs to Duarte and his cousin. Surveillance video showed Diaz walking up to an SUV and then running away less than a minute later as the SUV reversed. The video also captured 3 passengers fleeing the vehicle while Diaz exited and collapsed. One person was seen running back toward the SUV. The defense argued that no gun was recovered, although Duarte claimed he saw one.
He saw an individual in the vehicle with a gun. When they made a sudden movement, he feared for his life. He and his family member shot in return. And unfortunately, the young man did.
Diaz's family sent a statement saying, "Today's verdict means there is no accountability for the person who murdered Savvy, even though he confessed to being there and pulling the trigger. Our family remains heartbroken that justice was placed in the hands of 12 random jurors and that justice was not served by holding the responsible party accountable." Duarte still faces a separate robbery charge from a different incident, and his cousin, John Vera, still faces a murder charge. In an unexpected verdict, a jury found Robert Solace, the man accused of killing HPD Sergeant John Rios in 2020, is not guilty. The jury reached a unanimous verdict after 8 hours of deliberation. There was an audible gasp in the courtroom as the judge read the not guilty verdict for 24-year-old Solace. While Solace took a sigh of relief with his attorneys by his side, Sergeant Rios' daughter was seen crying in the hallway. Deliberations began around 9 a.m., with the verdict delivered at 5:07 p.m. At the time of the shooting, Solace was on a misdemeanor bond for carrying a handgun in a vehicle. Rios, a veteran officer with HPD for 25 years, was shot in North Houston near a motel. Police Chief Art Acevedo stated that the 47-year-old officer, who was off duty and in street clothes, was heading to work when he exchanged gunfire with the car. Witnesses reported that 4 shots were fired, and Officer Rios passed away in the motel lobby. Robert Solace's attorneys did not provide much comment on the jury's verdict, referring to the incident as a road rage clash.
Are you guys giving any comment?
We are going to have there's going to be a news conference, I think, or a press conference tomorrow. I'm very relieved, but we're not going to give any more comments on that until tomorrow.
Robert Solace, who has pending charges from other citations, remains in custody. It was sentencing day for former police officer Raphael Otano, who was found guilty of the armed kidnapping of a homeless man who was already in custody. Otano broke down in court as the judge sentenced him to years in prison. The judge stated that the sentence was handed down with careful consideration of both the law and the circumstances of the case.
An extremely egregious betrayal of the public trust.
Raphael Otano wept in the courtroom, as did his family, as the reality of the 28-year-old's prison sentence began to sink in.
66 months in state prison.
The former Hialeah police officer, Raphael Otano, was sentenced to 5.5 years behind bars after being convicted in August of kidnapping.
I'm going to file an appeal today.
In December, Raphael Otano responded to a disturbance call at a shopping center involving Jose Ortega Gutierrez. Prosecutors alleged that Otano and another officer took Gutierrez to a remote location, beat him, and attempted to cover it up. At his trial, jurors acquitted him of battery but found him guilty of armed kidnapping.
Never intended to kidnap anybody or commit any crime.
At the sentencing, Otano read a statement he had written. Others testified on his behalf, describing him as a dedicated husband and father whose lifelong dream was to be a police officer.
To please let him come home to me and to my baby.
No se merece lo que le está pasando.
My son does not deserve what he's going through.
In the end, the judge was not swayed by the pleas for no jail time and concluded that Otano was not truly remorseful.
Desire to terrorize this victim was so great, and then there were the cover-ups. I do not believe Mr. Otano has remorse for what occurred in this case. I believe that the regret that he has indicated is a regret at having been caught.
Lorenzo Orfila is the other officer facing charges in connection with the incident. Two families are deeply affected by a devastating tragedy. The courtroom was filled with the family of Jada Woods Johnson, whose death has had a profound impact. Her accused shooter, Samuel Gonzalez, appeared before a judge, facing the charges against him.
As I comprehend the nature of the allegations.
The boy walked in unfazed but attentive, facing charges of murder, assault, and possession of a firearm.
And what you're charged with?
Yes, Your Honor.
And what is your plea?
Not guilty.
Snohomish County prosecuting attorney Jason Cummings stated that the teen is being charged as an adult. He described the teen's actions on July 3rd as reckless and indifferent to human life, citing the shooting that occurred in a crowded mall.
Our community's hurting.
It's a tragedy. It's a terrible situation.
Despite being commended for turning himself in, the judge sided with the prosecutors and set bail at $2 million. Jada's family fears that this amount may not be sufficient.
There's got to be harsher consequences for these teens. We lost our daughter. Nothing's going to bring her back, but there can be change. We can try, and that's what we're going to do.
According to court documents, Samuel's father was unaware that his son had access to guns. However, social media suggests otherwise, as detectives discovered photos of Samuel posing with firearms, including one with an extended magazine.
I think it's safe to say his family failed him, and they failed Jada, and they failed us.
His family declined to comment. Looking at the broader picture, while crime rates are reportedly down in some areas, the number of teens committing crimes is rising. Snohomish County is also experiencing this trend.
A good time to start having conversations in Olympia about juvenile justice and what's working, what's not working.
Court documents reveal that the teens involved in this case are boasting online, claiming that police will not find the gun used in the crime, as arrangements were allegedly made to dispose of it. Back in Hillsborough County, a woman accused of posing as a student to molest young teenagers allegedly will await her trial from jail. Despite Alyssa Zinger's attorneys arguing that the 22-year-old has emotional issues that led to her pretending to be a teen, the judge in this case stated that she remains a threat to society. The judge did not hold back on the evidence presented in a hearing to determine whether Alyssa Zinger would await her trial in jail or be released.
What we know is you have been the adult, you have been preying upon them, you have been taking advantage of them, you have been abusing them, based on the allegations that the state has put forth.
Judge Ward ordered Alyssa Zinger to remain in jail. The 22-year-old is accused of inappropriate behavior involving at least 5 different teens in 2023. Detective Amanda Baranowski testified on Monday, revealing evidence of Zinger's actions.
He indicated that a sexually explicit video of himself and another minor was being circulated through Snapchat.
Did he know who was doing it?
Yes.
Who was that?
He identified the person as Miss Alyssa Zinger.
Throughout the testimony, Judge Ward took note of Zinger's response to the allegations.
Every time something happens that the state puts on that maybe you disagree with, you shake your head no. You don't seem to understand that the problem is not who recorded the video. The problem is you are in multiple videos with young boys 13 and 14 years old. You are an adult. You are manipulating, taking advantage of these young boys.
She also called out Zinger's parents, who were present in the courtroom, for their actions while executing a search warrant.
What I can't understand is when they are trying to help you to the extent that it interferes with a criminal investigation and to the extent that it helps you evade accountability and responsibility.
Body camera video shows her parents handing over a phone to police, but processing suggests it was actually her mother's old phone, which had never downloaded social media accounts and had not placed a call since 2021. The investigation into more potential victims continues. In court, Judge Ward asked if there was potential for criminal charges against her parents, but the prosecutors declined to answer the judge's question. Prosecutors have released new evidence in the deadly crash that killed a 22-year-old woman. Police say the driver was drunk when she crashed into a truck, killing her own passenger. The crash occurred on Northeast 15th Street at Biscayne Boulevard. An attorney for the victim's family called it a horrible case of drinking and driving. Police report that the driver was intoxicated and had been sending dozens of text messages to her boyfriend, with whom she was breaking up. She crashed 3 minutes after sending the last text. Surveillance footage shows the fatal impact as the drunk driver runs a red light and hits a truck. Startled people nearby are seen reacting to the sounds. Police identified the driver as Mila Dole, and her passenger, 22-year-old Irina Reynoso of Kendall, did not survive.
It's very disturbing to my clients.
Dole was driving a rented smart car on Biscayne Boulevard. She was reportedly going through a bad breakup with her boyfriend. Throughout the night, authorities say she sent more than 60 text messages to him. Among them, she texted, "Driving drunk woo. I'll be dead. Thanks to you." Later, she wrote, "Have a nice life, idiot. I'm tired of having to put up with your short temper and unreasonable attitude." She also said, "I'm done. You ruined me. You'll be the death of me."
It's upsetting because it highlights how preventable all of this was. Ms. Dago clearly knew she shouldn't have been driving.
Dole's boyfriend, identified as DJ, texted back, "What are you talking about? You're psycho. Stop, weirdo."
Irena had known about all these texts, that she would have never gone in that vehicle.
No trial date has been set for Mila Dole, now 24, who has pleaded not guilty to charges including DUI manslaughter and vehicular homicide. Irina Reynoso, who attended Miami-Dade College, dreamed of becoming a law enforcement officer. She had one sibling.
She was a beautiful, beautiful soul. She was a free spirit.
Attorney Ricardo Martinez has also filed a civil lawsuit against Dole and the vehicle sharing company from which Dole rented the smart car.
You can rent at 3 o'clock in the morning without speaking to an attendant, just on a whim. That's something that lends itself, unfortunately, to having folks under the influence pick up these vehicles.
The family's attorney stated that the vehicle sharing company should have safeguards in place to prevent drunk driving. Kurt Yensen goes to court with a bitter notion that there's a difference between the law and justice. His son, Eric Yensen, now 37, was convicted of murder at age 17 for helping his friend Nathan Ibanez kill Ibanez's mother in Highlands Ranch. Both were sentenced to life in prison.
Today, following a mandate that was issued by the Supreme Court.
The prosecutor stated that the state doesn't have much to say about the case.
One sentence available for the court to consider here today, and there can't be any deviation from that.
By law, the judge can only sentence Yensen to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 40 years. However, Nathan Ibanez is being treated differently.
He killed his mother in her apartment, and the governor has granted that he be eligible for parole at the end of next year, December 2020.
Yensen's attorney believes that the judge should have more discretion in sentencing, aiming to give Yensen a sentence similar to Nathan Ibanez's.
This is the first time that his family's been able to appear in court and say anything about him.
They say Eric Yensen has been a model prisoner. He earned his degree and inspired others to lead good lives even behind bars. Yensen acknowledges that saying sorry for his crimes is not enough. He says he lives to honor the value of his victim's life by helping others.
Sat 3 feet away from somebody who was dying. Sat 3 feet away from her. And I didn't save her. I could have.
As Eric Yensen receives his sentence of 40 years to life as required by law, his family says they still hope to find justice. A teenager who taunted law enforcement on social media, claiming he couldn't be caught after a brazen drive-by attack, was handed a long prison term. The vicious assault left one innocent woman dead and another wounded when Isaac Gonzalez shot up the wrong house. Appearing before Judge Perez, Isaac Gonzalez pleaded guilty to 2 charges.
You're charged with murder.
Isaac Gonzalez pleaded guilty to charges of murder and aggravated assault with a deadly weapon.
And it's punishable by 5 years to 99 years or life imprisonment. In both cases, are you pleading guilty because you are guilty and for no other reason?
Guilty, yes.
Okay.
Gonzalez admitted his role in a West Bexar County attack that occurred in October 2022. Prosecutors stated that Gonzalez was targeting someone who lived next door but mistakenly shot up the wrong house on Bald Mountain Drive. A 25-year-old guest staying at the short-term rental died, and her 41-year-old host was shot in the leg and survived.
Your punishment is to be assessed at 40 years imprisonment.
The judge sentenced Gonzalez to 40 years for the murder and an additional 20 years for the assault on the shooting survivor.
In that case, your punishment is to be assessed at 20 years imprisonment.
The sentences will be served concurrently. The judge gave Gonzalez credit for time already served, and he will be eligible to apply for parole in about 20 years. Additionally, the judge imposed a federal lifetime ban on gun possession for Gonzalez. Abigail Simon has been found guilty of having an inappropriate relationship with an individual she tutored while working at Catholic Central High School in 2013.
Madam Foreperson, if you would kindly stand, and by reading from the form where it starts, we, the jury, find as follows. And if you could read down each count and announce for the court the verdicts that the jury has arrived at, please.
Okay. We, the jury, on count 1, on the charge of criminal sexual conduct, first degree, penile vaginal, we, the jury, find the defendant, Abigail Simon, guilty. On the charge of causing a child for immoral purposes, we, the jury, find the defendant, Abigail Simon, guilty.
As to count 3, please. 2, 3, and 4. Finding of not guilty as to count 5. 1 Academy, is that your verdict? Yes. You're at seat number 6 in the back. Finding of guilty as to counts 1, 2, 3, and 4. Finding of
Krisla Rezireksyon has been sentenced to 45 years for the death of her daughter, Christiana Glenn, in May 2011. She was also sentenced for abusing and neglecting Glenn and her 2 younger children in their Irvington apartment.
Some of the things that were said with the child who testified in this courtroom, what she said. She took that stand and she said, "The pastor was nice to us. He never hit us. I never went outside to play, never went to the park, never went to friends, and neither did my siblings. Sometimes we didn't eat for days at a time. We were very hungry. We were tied at the ankles with yellow ropes every day, from morning until night, tied to a heater. And we used a bucket for a toilet. If we got untied, we would be whooped with belts or telephone cords. We'd be beaten when we were naked. We could not walk. And I recall when the young lady said, I thought that's how people live.
I had been following manual direction, thinking that my action will help bring me and my children closer to God. To this day, I regret my involvement with the Emmanuel and his ministry. I wish that I could reverse my action every day. I count my lost time as a mother to my children. I miss cooking for them. I miss caring for them. I miss being a mother to them. Every day I feel the pain and the hurt they must have felt during the time that I had been brainwashed. And I lost my children. Emmanuel had took my children away from me, and they were the most important thing that I had ever had in my life.
Nothing in the defendant's statement saying what she did because of the pastor, or that the pastor directed her to do anything. When you see that statement, you don't see that in there about the pastor, that he directed or at all forced or coerced or was the one that should bear the responsibility for this.
In February 2022, Hill was brutally shot by Cody Forhenkam, sparking a dramatic turn of events. Look at this man. What's your first impression of his behavior in the interrogation room?
I don't know.
You don't think
Like
we
I
can talk to Wally's?
Yeah, probably already did, bro. Okay.
We
bro.
talked to everybody around
No,
there. We talked
exactly.
We talked to
Exactly.
people.
So what? It was Wednesday.
Yep.
It was Wednesday.
Yeah.
Well, like I said.
Got you on video, bro.
What?
We're not lying. We're not lying.
No.
Because you have to understand, we got to put this case together, right? Right?
I see how y'all are trying to put the piece of puzzle together, but y'all
You're the last piece of this puzzle.
Nah, like I said, man, y'all ain't abstracting me and shit. Like I said, I'm being honest with you.
You're not. But we appreciate your time.
Yep. All right.
Okay. Why don't you have a seat? We'll go grab the deputy, okay?
All right. I wish you had killed that kid.
You were in Minneapolis. Okay, you're on video. Okay? I'm not telling you lies. I'm telling you the truth. Think
like I said, like
you were over on the north side.
I was, like I said, man.
You were not in Hayward, Wisconsin.
You can't tell me something.
Okay.
Like I said.
But I'm telling you, you were on video. Okay? You're on video. Okay? In the neighborhood, right by Wally's. Okay? You're on video. Okay? People are talking to you. You're talking to them. Okay?
You approached people and talked to them.
Right. Okay?
And they saw you.
And they saw you, and they said, this is the guy right here. Okay? So that's why we're here. So you can tell us you're in Hayward, Wisconsin. I know you're lying. There's no ticket stub that you can provide that's going to tell me you were in Wisconsin.
Like I said, man. How y'all, this is how this all played out. I was wondering about it. I was wondering about how you would pull a gun on somebody that got to AFib heart. You know what I mean?
We weren't there.
Nah, you put him on him though. So like I said, man, like that could have said my mom got a short time to live. And y'all could have stopped it yesterday doing that. So I'm just saying, like I said, you're trying to tell me something that what?
Okay.
I don't know.
I'm just telling
Wednesday the 9th, dude, I've been homeless. I've been working with Val Whiteburn.
Yep.
She's been trying to help me find housing, whatever. I guess there's
trying
a
to
short.
find a phone for you is what she's been trying to do.
A phone?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, a phone too. Yeah, she assisted me.
What happened to your
phone?
What happened to your phone?
It got broke.
Did it get broke? Where?
It got broke.
Where?
I asked my girl. My girl broke my phone.
Did you have a phone last week?
When did you have a phone? When did you have a phone?
And I don't even. Man, I always got a phone. I always got a phone.
Yeah?
I always got a phone.
Well, what was the number of your phone?
What was your phone number?
See, that's where y'all trying to dig me in a hole, man. Like I said.
Dig you in a hole. You're already in the hole.
In the hole. In the hole. No, you're saying that you're telling me people are saying that they.
People are talking because you know what? That young man did not deserve to die that way. He was executed. He was executed.
You in the back of the head. All right, and you know it.
There's nobody.
And you know it.
There's nobody that's protecting you at this point.
Are you kidding me? That kid had no reason to die whatsoever, and you didn't have any reason, but you did.
Y'all said you got a camera. Y'all said you got,
I'm just here just to hear your story. You got nothing to say? You have nothing to say about that?
Like I said, man, like my sister staying off of Golden Valley over that way.
Where she stay at?
She stay over off of like Popeyes or something, like an eatery.
What's your sister's name?
Camilla.
Camilla?
Yeah.
Camilla what?
Camilla Rose, different horse.
All right.
But
What were you doing over there then?
What?
Over by Wally's.
Over by Wally's?
Yeah.
Yeah, the market.
So you saying you got me on camera about it?
Oh, we
got you all over the camera, dude. We got you down Newton. We got you down Oliver. We got you on GVR. We got you walking down Penn. We got
Check
you.
it out. Say, you got this to my mom's, right?
We didn't even tell your mom while we were there. She was very, very cordial to us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And we did not tear up her house, nothing.
She doesn't know. We didn't tell her anything about why we were here.
But we're here for a murder investigation, and you're the suspect. You're the guy that everybody's saying did it. People are talking.
Everybody did.
People are talking. Why would
Everybody who saw you that day.
everybody that saw you
Who
out
say
there?
that? Who knows me around that way?
But that's the best part. People that don't even know you picked you out and
Yep.
said, "This is the guy. This is the guy."
This is the guy the second time.
So you're saying all those people are wrong.
Yeah, they're all wrong, and you're right.
They don't even know each other, but they picked the same
No,
guy.
no,
out.
I ain't saying that. I ain't saying that. But y'all got the facts down. Y'all.
You got to sleep with a dude. You a 15-year-old kid for no reason. For no reason at all.
No, you just sit here drilling what your opinions are. That's what you.
Well, I know what I can see on video. All right?
Man, like I said.
3 shots. 3 shots. And he's dead.
People described you to a T.
Absolutely.
So why would people be saying, "Hey, it's him"? Because you know what? This 15-year-old didn't deserve to be executed. That's exactly what you did.
You didn't even see the bullet coming. You shot him from the behind. And he died right there on a cold sidewalk. Face down in a blood puddle.
Check it out, man. Like I said.
They don't check it out.
What you expect? What you expect me to?
I don't know. Have a heart. Have a conscience.
No, like what the expect me to sit here and put me at a place where I wasn't right at the time?
Where were you then?
Like I said.
Where were you?
The 9th.
The 9th was a Wednesday.
Exactly a week.
A week ago today.
Exactly a week ago today.
Actually, yeah.
Exactly, right about now.
Yeah, we were still up at the scene processing.
I think I was my big brother Curtis Forhenkam.
Where's he at?
Um,
Because he doesn't stay anywhere near in the city.
He does.
Does he stay in the cities?
Well, he doesn't stay in the city. Well, he does and he don't. He works 3 jobs in the cities. He works at Pizza Luce's. He works at the club, the strip club. He works security out.
Which one?
I don't know a strip club, but he works at the Red Lake office too, security.
To make a father utterly devastated, take away his child. Only he understands the heaviness of his child's absence. When he curses the killer, the court interrupts.
My son was everything to me. My son was everything to me, just like anybody else. I just wanted to be a regular person. He grew up like a regular kid. He was a good kid, even a good baby. Even when he was in the walker, he was a good baby. He was a good, even by the time he was 5 years old, he wanted to play sports. I let him play sports. Even back when he was a 6-year-old, 7-year-old, we was always in the sports. It was either he was doing something good in sports or he was doing something good in school. He was always doing something good. Every weekend, we would have a game to go to. And ever since this dude, my son, everything stopped. I don't understand how a man like this dude right here, off the street, right, with them backpacks on, I seen that. And he was dirty, and he stink, probably. I get embarrassed when people ask me who my son. I have to say him, and he's a off the street. And there's people in this city like this that runs around looking for black kids to kill. Look, that he's sitting right there. My daughters, hold on, my daughters. I must talk about how you impacted his little sisters. First of all, he got a little sister named Tashanti, and she's 10 years old. She's devastated. Her brother used to do TikToks with her. she can't do a TikTok with her brother no more because on the street. He got another sister. She's 11. She's going downhill because of her brother. She's doing stuff in school that she never did because this dude her brother. Her brother was like a protector to them. Me and him. Everybody in our village. My son didn't deserve to die. You should, excuse me, but hold on.
Thank you.
I'm missing out on him going to prom. Missing out on him graduating high school. All because of what? Because of him getting mad because a white dude beat you up in the store? I guarantee you, everybody seen that was a white dude. And I guarantee you know Sean, my son, didn't do nothing to you. I guarantee you never seen him in your life. Only a coward, nobody. No, you're a nobody, dude. Like, how is you still sitting there? Like, only reason you did this is because you was a on the street. You couldn't afford to live your own life. And you did that because right now, them people gave you a shirt to wear. You didn't never have nothing in your life. You was always a nobody. And that's all you will ever be is a child. That's all you gonna be.
Please address me and what sentence
I'm
you'd like.
done, and I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tuesday Shepherd. You want me to spell it as well?
No.
Okay.
You may proceed. You're right.
Well, it's the definition of Cabo. It's a saying called, it's the devil walking around on earth, and Cody is that person. He's the devil himself. He's not from our community, and he was looking to kill anybody's kid that day. I just wish that you give him life without the chance of parole, which is not going to happen in the state of Minnesota. But please give him over 40 years because he don't deserve to be out here killing anybody else's kids or anyone else in that matter. And I hate him. And that's about it.
Thank you, Michelle.
I hope you rock me. You're going to meet your
Coward.
All right, come on out. Both of you.
Five of them. It doesn't matter anyway. Yeah. Oh, God,
Even the judge was troubled by this killer, giving the maximum sentence. An even stricter punishment might have been given if she had more authority.
All right, I have read all the victim impact statements and have read the pre-sentence report and heard the arguments, so I am prepared to proceed with sentencing. Mr. Forhenkam, part of my job here today is to evaluate not just the crime, but also you for purposes of any sentencing. And I read the PSI for that. There's obviously very minimal background in that since you did decline to participate. I do see, however, from that PSI, you have an extensive felony record to include arson, robbery, and gun possession, and to include a prior prison sentence that nevertheless did not deter you. I must also then evaluate that the sentence does not unduly depreciate the nature of the crime. And in that, your victim, Deshaun Hill, was only 15 years old. All he did was walk by you. And as he's walking away in broad daylight on a public street, you turned and you at him, not once, but 3 times, the back of his head. And for why? For what reason? It is so senseless that now not only must his family deal with the loss of their son, they have to be tortured by that question of why and by the senselessness of it. Others have said here better than what I could say, but you've heard too that the victim, Deshaun Hill, was very loved and admired, not just by his family, but also his community and even people who did not know him, hardly only knew of him. You took that promise away from his family, their chance to hug him, see him graduate, watch him play football, but you also took that promise away from the community. So, in evaluating the seriousness of that crime, to understand your willingness to multiple times for no good reason, you do deserve the top sentence allowable under the guidelines. So I sentence you to what we call an executed sentence. You are committed to the custody of the Commissioner of Corrections for 463 months. You have 379 days credit. You're required to serve a minimum of 2/3 of your imprisonment with a maximum of 1/3 months on supervised release. There's no adjudication for the lesser included count 2. You have to pay a $50 fine and $78 surcharge to be paid from prison wages. You have to provide a DNA sample, and you cannot register to vote, and you are prohibited from possessing a firearm for the remainder of your life. Mr. Allard, any additions or corrections to the sentence I have imposed?
Your Honor, we would just ask for restitution to remain open for 60 days.
All right, restitution is to remain open for 60 days. Mr. Forhenkam, you can contest that once if a number is submitted. Ms. Krakowski, anything additional for the sentence that I have imposed?
No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Then this does conclude this matter. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, be here.
Oh, yeah, faggot ass mother.
Thank you, Your Honor. Never see your daughter again.
Fake ass cheating.
I hope you suffer too. Protecting the child killer. Ass broad. You. Stupid bitch. Protecting him like that. God, you should be ashamed of yourself. You have to go that extreme. Telling us what we should not do. The fuck?
On June 24, 2018, in Paynesville, Brian Anthony took the life of Officer Matthew Masney. Siblings are usually the closest family members to a victim. Therefore, they are the ones most impacted when a sibling loses their life.
I am Michael John Mazzani. My brother was Matthew James Mazzani. My brother had many nicknames growing up. I'd like to read them off all out here if I could, please. He was Matty. He was my Futu. He was my feet. He was Fat Matt, Matt the Cat, and finally Officer Matt. I would like to apologize to every officer that had to sit here and hear this from these people this morning. As a policeman's son, I made my peace with my father not coming home when I was 5 years old. The year was 1975. My daddy was on SWAT. I am also an alcoholic with 15 years of consecutive sobriety. Had you pulled over, sir, had you picked up that phone that you so desperately hid from justice, and you, sir, do you have your own ambulance? How dare you? How dare you stand in here and wave the flag of law enforcement, wave the flag of breaks and peace when you fought so hard to keep this little bastard out of jail?
Mr. Mazzani, I'm going to ask you to lower your voice and to refrain from using names such as that.
I apologize, Your Honor. I don't mean to disrespect this court, my brother's memory, or law enforcement in general. I apologize, but ever since this young man's first hearing, I have watched his smug face. I have watched his family. I have watched it all. And I have said, where's the remorse? Where is it? In you, sir. Well, we're glad the state of Ohio finally saw it our way. How dare you? This family has fought so hard to deny this man time that I feel that the only justice would be to send him to the worst place possible. I don't care if he finds Jesus, Allah, Buddha while he's locked up. I don't care any of it. I'm insulted by it. This man nailed my brother. My brother is 1.5 the size of me. It had to be like hitting a small deer. You ground him down and flung him through the air. You didn't know. You're a liar. It is insulting for me to hear that we're praying for both families, because my family didn't do anything. My family hasn't fought to deny justice. My family, you've had more opportunities than me and my brother ever had. Me and my brother fought for everything we had. My brother went to the shittiest public school in Cleveland. He got bussed. My brother rose above it. My brother became an officer. My brother answered the call of service and integrity and duty like his father before him. As a policeman's son and as a policeman's brother, it is absolutely disgusting to hear these live courtesy card things being waved around. We all know the rules. This blue family. This is disgusting 11.5 years you're looking at. It's disgusting. You won't even be in jail the same amount of time my brother was a policeman. My father had 14 years when Chief Knight started. My father was doing 15 drug houses a month in the 80s on SWAT. My brother prepared for a physical fight like his father before him. You hit him with the car and you ran. You knew you hit him. Don't tell me, yo, the lights. The lights. So blinding, so drawing, the lights. Come on, how can you sit there and say that? Every man in this room sees blue lights. Nobody goes careening into them. Green tea shots. My brother drank 100 proof whiskey from the bottle like a man. My brother stood for things like a man. You, sir, have showed no integrity, no remorse. Had you pulled over, had you said, hey, I think I just did something terrible, the alcoholic in me would have compassion for you and say, but there by the grace of God go I. But I have no compassion for you, I have no sympathy for you, and I will be there every time you try to get an extra piece of toast or whatever break you're looking for in the months to come. How dare you? And I certainly hope whatever courtesies this gentleman was getting on the street ceases. I demand the maximum sentence, Your Honor. My brother was a good man. He helped many people. He held society first and foremost in his thoughts as he made arrests, as he wrote tickets, as he did all of his actions as a police officer. He would ask himself, do my actions help or hurt society? An example needs to be set to these young people that choose to do this. I'm just aghast standing here and listening to this. No remorse. I don't feel any remorse. I don't feel any sorrow. Thank you, Your Honor, and I do apologize.
My son was a good man. My name is Alyssa Zinger. That was my husband. I've heard a lot of things here about forgiveness, about responsibility, and second chances. That's not going to get a second chance. My son doesn't get his father back. I will get my husband back. Brian still has his life. You still have your son. I don't have that. My son doesn't have that anymore. He does have a second chance. We don't. In regards to responsibility, I did want to say a few things about the life of Matt. We've been together for a long time, over 22 years. Matt was my best friend. He was my soulmate. He was my husband for 22 years. That's almost as old as you are today. A piece of me is gone forever. I'll never be the same. Our son's life will never be the same. I thought a long time about what I wanted to say. You already know that every life that has been touched by this tragedy has been destroyed. So instead, I'll tell you a little bit about the man that he was. He was a good man with a heart of gold. He was a responsible, loving man that overcame obstacles in life and he gave to others. When Matt was 16, he got his first job to help his mom pay bills. When his mom's car died, Matt gave her his car, paid for her car insurance, and took the bus to work and school because he didn't want his mom to take the bus to work. He wanted to keep her safe. The first car that he ever bought for himself was a stick shift that cost $500 because that was all he could afford. I mentioned that it was a stick shift because he didn't know how to drive a stick. Matt taught himself how to drive that car on the way home from the lot. When he was 22, our son was born. At that tender young age, he took on the role of a father and husband. He worked hard his whole life to provide for his family. Before he bought a Harley and rode it all the way to California to see his brother and back to Ohio, alone for most of his trip. He was a novice rider and he just got his motorcycle license. But that didn't stop him. He wanted to live life to the fullest. He never let fear stop him from living his dreams. It was an epic trip of a lifetime. Epic, just like he was. Matt didn't choose a career in law enforcement because he wanted to earn a paycheck. He wanted to help people. He was not your typical cop, as many here in this courtroom can attest to. He did things his own way and by God's own moral code. He never sweat the small stuff, so if you got a ticket from Matt, you damn well deserved it. He was old school, and that's what they called him, old school. After he died, I received the contents of his locker. Amongst pictures of us, there was a picture in there that I forgot about a long time ago. He had this picture in his locker for 13 years. It was a picture of a mural I painted for a client. It was a painting of Lucifer. When he asked me for the picture, I was shocked and I asked him why he would want something so ugly in his locker. He said, it reminds him of who he fights against every day when he goes to work. And that was the mindset and the heart of this beautiful, fearless man when he laced up his boots, put that on his hip, and walked out the door and into the world. Matt had incredible strength of character. He was fierce and determined in everything that he did. He was my protector, my son's protector. With Matt by my side, I always felt safe. He was my heart and my soul. He inspired me in ways that I wish I could tell him now. Whenever I'm in a tough spot, I find myself asking what he would do in this situation. And I still lean on his strength and his love. He was my everything. He was my hero. Not because he wore a badge, but because he was and is the epitome of what a good man is. So you see, he didn't kill a police officer. He took the life of a very special man. His name was Matthew James Mazzini.
The prosecution presented several pieces of evidence in court to show the suspect's terrible deed.
Despite taking an Uber from downtown Willoughby to his vehicle in Lakeline, he chose to get into his Jeep with the purpose of going to get cocaine. On his way to get cash at an ATM in Euclid, he drove off the road, almost hitting a street sign on the side of the road and a chain link fence. Direct your attention to State's Exhibit 2, Your Honor. In here you can see that the defendant's vehicle, his Jeep, is almost entirely off the side of the road in Euclid. Exhibit 3, these were taken by the Menor Police Department on the day following the crash, well, later in the day of June 24th. And all 4 of these pictures depict the defendant's tire tracks in the grass in that area that is shown in State's Exhibit 2. Despite driving off the road and almost crashing, the defendant proceeded to get cash out at the ATM in Euclid. He then gets back into his vehicle and drives to get that cocaine, or what he presumes is cocaine. Then he chose to ingest it in his vehicle in Euclid, and then continue to drive. All this after almost crashing his vehicle while just under the influence of alcohol. He chose to continue driving from Euclid under the influence of alcohol and now. And when doing so, he put countless people at risk and had complete disregard for the safety of every person on that road. State's Exhibit 4 is a slide that was created with the help of Introtech Crash Reconstruction Services. Using crime scene measurements that were obtained on the night of the crash by the Willoughby Police Department, and those measurements were of Officer Mazzini's cruiser, Officer Chalupa's cruiser, and the Toyota that Officer Chalupa had pulled over for that traffic stop. So during this reconstruction, those vehicles were placed, the exact same vehicles were placed in the exact same location that they were in on June 24th of 2018. The cruisers had their rotating lights on, their headlights, the Toyota had its headlights on, and this is the same weather conditions and lighting conditions that were in effect on June 24th of 2018. And it was determined by Introtech that drivers on Route 2 on this straight stretch of roadway would have detected that there was police activity not just in front of them, but actually on Route 2, 27 seconds before the time of impact. The defendant had 27 seconds to get out of the right lane. That's 2,376 feet before the time he hit Officer Mazzini. 27 seconds to move out of the right lane to avoid any potential impact. And he chose not to do that. He remained in the right lane in violation of Ohio law. This is also, this is State's Exhibit 5. This is also a computer-generated diagram of the scene. Again, these vehicles are placed in the exact location from the scene measurements on the night of the crash. Also, what was used to reconstruct this diagram was information from the Lake County Crime Lab after analyzing all of the vehicles, the trace evidence analysis, as well as the DNA analysis. They were able to determine where exactly the point of impact was. And you can see, Your Honor, how much of the defendant's vehicle is off the side of the road when he struck Officer Mazzini, as well as the vehicles. involved in this crash. Your Honor, that is a close-up of that same slide. So this is State's Exhibit 6. Again, showing you.
After listening to all the arguments, the judge announced Brian's fate.
So, after consideration of everything that I just talked about, it's sent to the court on count 1, which is served a term of 8 years of Lorraine Correctional. That's the aggravated vehicular homicide, it's a mandatory term. On count 2, the OBI, 180 days. And count 4, stopping after accident, a term of 36 months. And those sentences shall be consecutive to one another. And I find that consecutive service is necessary both to punish you and that the consecutive sentence is not disproportionate to the seriousness of your conduct and the danger that you pose. Further, find that your history of criminal conduct demonstrates that a consecutive sentence is necessary to protect the public from future crime by you. You're given credit for 293 days and costs are assessed. Mrs. Zuri, is there anything relative to the sentence itself?
Your Honor, the mandatory post-release control and driver's license suspended.
It's a 3-year mandatory, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
When you get out, you are going to be on post-release control for a period of 3 years under the direction of the Adult Parole Authority. If you violate any of the conditions of your post-release control, the Adult Parole Authority could return you to prison for up to 9 months for each of your violations, up to 1/2 the time that I've given you in this case. If that violation is a new felony, then whatever court you're in, you can receive an additional consecutive prison sentence for the post-release control violation. And that sentence will be a greater of 12 months from the time you have left under the 3 years of post-release control. Your operator's license is revoked for your life. Is there anything else, Mrs. Zuri?
Your Honor, I might have missed this. The mandatory fine on count 2
is $1,000.
It's $375 to $1,075, and then do you take a position as to shock incarceration?
The mandatory fine of $375 is imposed on the OPI. And that's it. Any further?
No, Your Honor.
Any further discussion?
No, Your Honor.
Your turn.
All right.
Big thanks to our viewers for joining the courtroom journey with us. Your interest in the stories of justice is what keeps our channel alive.